of political parties not serving anyone is out there for every single South African to see.
Into election news headlines this hour, a new era in the democratic dispensation of South Africa, where for the first time independent candidates will be vying for seats in the national and provincial polls. Some independent candidates believe they have what it takes to represent their communities in the National Assembly and provincial legislatures.
Bathi ke sizobona amanzi yabona leyo nto leyo sizobona amanzi asasi noma emva kokhetho into engazokuqhubeka le futhi possible.
Residents of Umkhanyakude in northern KwaZulu-Natal say they have lost faith in the government after years of empty promises. That's as political parties are crisscrossing the province to try and win the hearts of voters.
Let me tell you, the suspended load shedding is going to come back on the 29th at 12 midnight when we're counting the votes.
Also, EFF leader Julius Malema has urged residents to be on high alert as he alleges that full-blown load shedding will return during vote counting after the elections. He was speaking during the party's manifesto town hall meeting in El Dorado Park. This is in south of Johannesburg. Sinibingelele sinamukele to another edition of Elections 360 Daily. Khona la kunqaphambili SABC 1 eMzansi for sure kanye no SABC lihaye ku DTT as well as all of our digital platforms. Kanti ke igama ngumxolisi wakwaMasango. Namhlanje we focus on the scourge of drug and substance abuse emiphakathini yethu. Most importantly, nolusha. We will delve deeper into the negative effects this has on imiphakathi yethu as a whole and ask, are we losing the fight against alcohol and substance abuse? Now, all provinces across the country have issues with alcohol and drug abuse, more especially amongst Ulusha. As we head to the polls, we will hear some parties and how they intend on fighting the scourge if put in power. To be a part of all the conversations that we have, khona la ohlelweni mbukeli ungashayela ucingo ku 011 714 0726 noma 0727 okanye 0728. You can also hit us up on our social media platforms. Sikhona ku X as SABC Izindaba, na ku Facebook as SABC Izindaba, and make sure ukuthi ke usebenzisa i-hashtag yethu at #elections360 daily. This also makes it easy for us to pick up all your interaction. Sithi Elections 360 daily iqala njengamanje. So we always have our guests and panelists to join us for inkulumo zethu la ohlelweni. Kungakho namhlanje samukela uCleo Bodibe-Lushaba, who's the Director for Client Relations Management at the Gauteng Liquor Board. And of course, we were hoping to also get hold of the Social Development Department. However, they were unable to join us. But nonetheless, the conversations continue right here ohlelweni. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Bodibe-Lushaba. I'm looking forward to our engagement on the program. Alcohol and substance abuse affects imiphakathi yethu and it contributes to road fatalities, violent crimes as well as gender-based violence and femicide. Kubhlungu because amongst Ulusha, it has become, of course, a scourge in many townships. As we are slowly approaching the 2024 general elections, we asked umphakathi wase Ivory Park eMidrand ukuthi, do they believe political parties have strategies and plans to end the scourge of alcohol and drugs? Itikesizwe ukuthi ngabe bathini.
South Africans have told us that drugs destroys families, they destroy communities. And as Rise Mzansi, we are proposing key interventions. One will have shown no mercy on anyone that sells drugs in communities.
Drug and substance abuse affects us all, and it is not only the responsibility of government, but it's also the responsibility of the community and the various stakeholders working together in order to fight the scourge of drug and substance abuse that we are witnessing in our country.
As the African Transformation Movement, we are of the view that the fight against drug abuse It is not something that is prioritized by the government of this country and also the law enforcement and agencies. There is definitely no political will to deal with this issue, because if there was a political will to deal with drug trafficking and prevalence of drugs within our society, we would be managing what comes through our borders. Effective border control is one of the ways we can deal with this. Effective policing is one of the ways we could deal with this.
So the abuse of drugs and alcohol is a major socio-economic issue in Mzansi Africa. Drug consumption in South Africa is twice the world norm, with 15% of the population in Bugelwami suffering from some kind of substance abuse. Now, this is according to the United Nations World Drug Report, EGA 2011. Now, alcohol tops the list of substance abuse in the country. The effects of this abuse can lead to many health risks and can cause many socio-economic issues, including the disruption of amakaya. Reporter Kim Daniels and our video journalist Uzamukanyo compiled the following report.
Mom, I love you very much. I want to make you proud one day. I'm sorry for hurting you all those times. And I was...
It's okay, take your time.
These are the feelings of a 19-year-old boy trying to get his life back on track. A story not unlike many.
That was my drug of choice. And my relationship with my wife, it took a really bad turn, you see. And I loved her. I can't say I didn't love her. I loved her, and we got a child together. And my relationship, I skipped out on my child's life. A huge part of her life. I hardly know her.
I was 11 years old when I started doing drugs, and the environment that I grew up in was around gangsters, drug users, drug dealers. So I wanted to be the school guy in my environment, and I went to pick up a drug.
And what drug was that?
It was codeine, cough syrup, cocaine, Xanax tablets, and myelinaprozolum tablets.
Drugs and the abuse of it leads to family estrangement, loneliness, and the reduced sense of belonging, often leaving parents frustrated, hopeless, and heartbroken.
And when you find out that your child is involved with drugs, it is very, very, very sad and disappointing. It breaks you as a family to such an extent that the love is just not there anymore. You just don't know what to do. You tend to blame everything. What have I done wrong as a parent?
There is a light at the end of the tunnel for some. Rehabilitation centres such as Brothers in Arms offer an in-house 101-day holistic program to help those get back on their feet. Thus far, they have an 100% success rate.
It is a duration of 101 days, as I said, so it's a 3 months in-house stay. Unfortunately, you cannot rehabilitate any person on substance abuse without having to stay in-house. It's just not going to work.
Parents are urged to monitor behavioural changes of their children that include eating habits, sleeping habits, and personality changes. Kim Daniels, SABC News, Gqeberha.
Sad state of affairs wembugeli. Kodwa-ke, to further this discussion, we are now joined by Cleo Bodibe Lushaba, who's Director Client Relations Management at Gauteng Liquor Board. Cleo, thank you so much for your time, and of course, as we continue to navigate around this conversation, Bugeli, so many thoughts are coming in. Njengamanje ikakhulukazi masibuka imiphakathi yethu that are currently languishing in idakamizwa. And uyezwa-ke ukuthi the sense on the ground is that ulusha really want to turn around their lives. Kodwa-ke, what's also important is for us to really get an understanding ukuthi ngaba political parties ama-plans abo athini insofar as fighting the scourge of drugs. So, Cleo, thank you so much for your time on the program. Perhaps let's start with you and Gauteng Liquor Board. Have you invested any maybe resources first of all you'll advocate against the irresponsible use of utshwala?
Ngibonge for ithuba, ngibingelele the viewers at home.
And getting into umbuzo lo engutolayo, there is a number of things that we have on board as the Gauteng Liquor Board. We conduct regular workshops throughout Gauteng. When I say throughout Gauteng, I'm talking Sidibeng, Eguruleni, Joburg, all across Gauteng. We conduct these for the liquor traders to ensure that they trade responsibly. We conduct these at schools, encouraging children to abstain from alcohol, which is the underage program that we have, and a few others. Obviously, we also train the SABC officials in terms of how to enforce the Gauteng Liquor Board. So yes, there is a number of activities that we have. If I may also add, on a daily basis, our inspectors are out there inspecting, ensuring that all the conditions of liquor trade are being adhered to. And of course, where they are not, they take the necessary actions. I'll stop at this point for now.
Yeah, and Gunjalo, and here's the thing for me, you know, being a young person, Gwamina, having engaged and interacted with young people on this, you know, the sense is that utshwala is a problem, but of course they can't even help it because ziningi ingqinamba abahlangabezana nazo on the day-to-day. Would you agree?
Gakulu. In fact, I always say being a young people, it's a serious challenge. Moreover, when it comes to alcohol, of course, I cannot leave the stage without touching on the advertisement. You know, you watch TV at any point in time, alcohol is being advertised. Not that we have a problem with that. We realize it creates a number of jobs, you know, on the advertising side of things. But as a young person who is still growing, when all you see is alcohol, a fancy mention behind a fancy car, and ucabanguti into a right to do when actually it isn't. And the biggest fear, much as I've noticed, to most of our big players, you know, Heineken, Heineken Bev, SAB InBev, and, you know, aware.org, Diageo, they are doing the best that they can in terms of putting across our messages with responsible drinking. I'm sure manje sonke singavumelana ukuthi once in a while uzobona advertisement that encourages responsible drinking. But yes, kubantwana aba under 18, we say they should abstain, they shouldn't be drinking because simply they are still developing. And they are still finding themselves. And with the brain, it gets affected as you consume alcohol. So yes, those are the things that we look at. There is a whole lot more, but let me stop at this point and maybe take the next question. Thank you.
Yes, and I also want to bring in Maurice Smithers, who joins us right now, and he's an activist. So Maurice, here's the thing. Here we stand right now. We had invited the Department of Social Development to come onto the program to also talk to us about some of the programs that they have in place to ensure that we fight the scourge of alcohol and drug abuse in our communities. But of course, they turned us down at the last hour. Are you surprised? All right, we'll try and get Maurice back on the line there. It doesn't seem like he can hear us.
I'm not getting a clear signal, Levin, unfortunately.
All right. Okay, so Maurice,
very clearly, it comes and goes.
Okay, we will try and sort out your line, but in the meantime, let's just quickly continue with Cleo. And Cleo, I think this is also at a time where Ulusha are also talking about that are trying to lend a hand in we fight the scourge of alcohol and drug abuse. Perhaps give us some perspective as to just how bad this issue is on the ground, because I'm sure as the Liquor Board, you might also have an idea, Wuti, just how much of a big problem is this?
Yeah, yona inking enkulu the alcohol abuse. Moreover, now it's not only on the adults. Njoba ushilo mastali conversation even on young people. It goes beyond. There is a number of social ills eba linked guyo. For instance, maukuluma about the road fatalities that you touched on earlier, it is being linked with that. When you talk about gender-based violence and many others. So that's why I say Gauteng Liquor Board sizama ngazo zonke indlela to educate people, to ensure ukuthi labo ukuthi bazithola basenkingeni yoku-abuse utshwala, we're able to not ourselves assist them but refer them accordingly. Njalo masirana ama workshops, we ensure ukuthi organizations like Isanka, organizations like Abo Love Life, organizations, including our social development, they are there so that when somebody realizes, angithi manje umuntu realize amasekathola information, which no man, lento engiyenzayo ayikho right, I shouldn't be drinking as much. That's when then they're able to get immediate assistance.
Okay.
But it is a serious issue.
All right.
Right through to the workplace as well. You find ukuthi most organizations.
Okay, clear. Ngicela ukuthi ke sibambe lapho okwamanje ke siyothengisa. We'll continue with it. Umasibuya ekhefini. Mbukele siyabuya emva kwalokho. Hlala nathi khona la ku Elections 360 Daily. Siyaqhubeka with our conversations khona la ku Elections 360 Daily. Let's now cross to our reporter Ukolosa Lubisi ose Prevention Awareness Treatment Center in Ivory Park Township. Now yena uzobakhuluma with young drug addicts and the representatives of the NGO. Now Kolosa, sikubingela sikwamukele ohlelweni. Talk to us about where you are and what is happening njengamanje.
Tibambe ngazo zozibini kuwe Mxolisi apho studio. We are coming to you live from Midrand, and of course we are still talking about into edla umzi, and that's why we have decided into kubana sindwendwele one of the drug rehab centers that is named Tshwaranang Prevention Awareness Treatment Center. Omnyenza Ncokola naye is one of the drug addicts. Ubeke phansi intambo wathatha isigqibo sokuba uyeka phansi iziyobisi. Terence, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, thank you.
Ndiyafuna uqonda into kubana wena usithathe njani isigqibo kwaye how were you introduced with drugs?
I was influenced by my friends and music. Sinabukile abantu besithanda ukwenza music most of the time, which is bespend isikhathi sethu sise-studio. So by that time bokuniy'dakamizwa nabangani namalini izinto ezikanjalo, so ngazithola nami sokuthi I use substance ukuthi ngikwazi nami ukuperforma kahle kazi, which was into a bad for me na then.
And coming to the decision yokuba uyeke, intoni mhlambe kwenze wenza lonto?
Ngibona ukuthi like too much drugs in my system ayangilimaza yabona, angikhona ukufunctiona, even my body becomes lazy, even ama attitude ngisanokuvuka nama attitude if angithole lento yokubhema. So
also want to bring you in Butwami because nawe I mean ubonile into yokubana mawungene kuyo le center. Ndiyafuna ukuqonda wena into yokubana intoni ekwenze uba uthabathe iziyobisi.
Usho kanjani? So
like ukuthi uthi ndingena kwiziyobisi ngiyabhema, yini eyakuphembelela?
Mina ngafaka abangani. Nami bengifuna ukubhema, ngazizwa kahle, ngithanda ukubhema. Ngathi mina ngizobhema, ngazifaka.
And ubomi bakho buye batshintsha njani mase uqala ubhema?
Wabukeka kabi. Washintsha impilo.
Can you share a bit about your story ukuthi wena uqale njani ukusebenzisa ama drugs?
Ngaqala 2015 sister. Indaba ukuthi abangani theba ababhema bathi naye uhlule into esimple, now cha kancane uzibona ukuthi hayi lento le into right. Kanti hayi mangena yangizondisa ngabantu ifamily ngina mina sengizitshela ukuthi hayi man shoot lento le yeke kanjani into enjani engayeke. Angasho ukuthi hayi ngicela ukuthi nami bangincede, ngicela umama sendlini mama sengifuna impilo right manje ngisafuna.
One person that I also want to bring in this conversation is the treasurer of the rehab center, Mr. Mish Mdlalose. Masikubulise sikwamkele enkqubeni. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Mdlalose, I want you to take me through the programs that you have because yesibone mhlawumbe abanye bezinikezele ba-admitwe nini umuntu ngomso uyaphuma. What are some of the programs ongaqinisekisa into yobana ninazo to make sure that the rehab center runs effectively?
So we're appealing to government to bring sitters to like NPOs that we have. The challenge that we're also facing as an organization, they are coming very far, walking distance. Come here, they can also be hijacked by other people to give them drugs and substance abuse. Potential sponsors that are out there, can they donate us a transport that will be able to assist the community to be effective and also assist these kids? But we're appealing to government to bring us this skills development.
Right, Mxolisi, that was Mr. Mdlalose apha kaloku kwi rehab center. The big question is there a political will to end the drug abuse that is facing our country? Mxolisi, back to you in studio.
Sipaphatha ngazo zombini ke kholosa lapho for lowo mbiko. And of course, let's quickly bring in Maurice Smithers into the conversation, and he's an activist. So I take out so much from these conversations we've just had on the ground right now, Mr. Smithers. Is this a fight that we're going to win, the fight against drugs and alcohol abuse? Mr. Smithers, can you hear me there? All right, we're grappling there, and perhaps also, this is also at a time where Ulusha is also preparing to go on to the polls. We'll endeavor to get our guests back on a bit later on in the program. Hlelanati Konala, Elections 360. Usahleli nathi khona la ku-Elections 360 Daily. So mbukele kuthiwa ke alcohol kanye substance abuse also affects some communities, and it also contributes to road fatalities kanye futhi nezinye izinto. We also took these conversations to Ivory Park. Let's take a look at the conversations.
I think i-government kwamele isize nayo siwayeka ama-drugs abo DA, ANC or any party man.
Atibona una political party ine yanga kona uzilugisa zwithu zwo raliyo ngori ndi tshisedzulusa nga nḓila ine South Africa yavha ngayo muṅwe na muṅwe tonga u khou yela phalamendeni u ḽa hu si u thusa vhathu.
I've lost hope. I don't think any of the recent ones can make change because we're still struggling with load shedding, right? So we're just going to vote, but there won't be any change.
From what I've seen, I don't think there's any political party that is looking at dealing with drugs.
And we've come to the end of our program. And Bugeli, thank you to our guests, Maurice Smithers, alcohol harm reduction activist, Cleo Bodibe Lushaba, Director, Client Relations Management, Gauteng Liquor Board. From myself, Umqolisi, and the rest of the team in Saleh.